Hi, in this particular lecture we are going to talk about the actual editing process where we are going to take the shots from the bin to the timeline. We have captured a few clips here and I can scrub through the clips and select the clip that I actually want. When you are about to start the edit, you should know how to navigate within your rushes, that is your raw material. When I click on a particular shot, this is how I can scrub, but I need to play the clip from the keyboard. On the keyboard, you have three keys one after the other. They are J, K and L. The L button is your play forward button and J button is your play rewind button. So if you press L once, this will play the clip, and if you press J once, it will play the clip but in the reverse direction. Now if you play the L key twice, it will fast forward the clip, and similarly if you press on J, it will fast rewind the clip. This is going to be my first shot. If this is my first shot and I have decided that this is the point where I am going to start. This is the point. So for that I need to mark in. For marking in on the keyboard, I press I. If I do not want to use the keyboard shortcut, I can even use the window here. With this button, I can mark in. As soon as I click this button, I mark the point as my in point. Then I play the clip.
And others said, when they say that liberty is more plural.
Okay, this is the point where I want to mark out. That is, this is the point where I want to end this clip. I mark out with this particular button. Or on the keyboard, I can use the O button. So I and O stands for in and out. I want to take this clip onto the timeline. You can simply drag and drop the clip here on the timeline. This will bring in the video file, which is this layer, and the audio file, which is this layer. I have two audio tracks because this is a stereo recording, left and right, and I have one video track. But this is not a professional way to deal with your edit. You should be able to use keyboard shortcuts. For dragging a clip from the source monitor to the timeline, you need a command which is F9 or function 9. F9 is a key that is placed on top of your keyboard. As soon as you press F9, the clip will come here. Now let's go and select the second shot. I go to another clip and say for example this is going to be my shot number 2. Again I mark in with the in button and I go to the point where I want to mark out. So I mark out. I press F9 and I bring the clip onto the timeline. Now I have the two clips on my timeline. If I play it from here, I press the space bar and this will start playing, or I can even press the play button on this window. Remember, this is my record window. As you must be remembering that this is the window that gives me the playback from the timeline. So I click on the play button and this clip starts playing, and this is my cut. Okay, this is the point till I want the clip. Now I talked about the F9 function, which is called the insert edit. But what is insert edit? Now that I have two clips one after the other, I want a second clip here which is not the second shot on this timeline. That is, I want a new shot here. Say for example, I take a clip like this. I want this flower shot in between these two shots. Again, I mark in, I go forward and I mark out. This is the selection and this is the shot that I want in between shot 1 and shot 2 on the timeline. How to do it? I go to the timeline, I take the playhead onto the cut point. See, this is my cut point. Okay, and I press F9 or the insert edit. As soon as I do it, just see my shot 2 is now the flower shot. Now if I play it from here, this shot will cut to shot 2.
What is the first sound that...
And this will be my shot 3. Obviously this is not a good edit, but to give you an example, this is how it is done. Now I have another command which is called overwrite. What is overwrite? Say now I have 3 shots on the timeline and I do not want this shot, or I want a shot to overwrite this section of my timeline. Let me select some other shot, say of this lady. I mark in and I play and I mark out. Okay, and I get my playhead on this cut. Now if I press F10, this will overwrite this clip. Actually it will eat into the clip 3. I press F10 and see this clip is now shorter by the length of this clip. Now if I play this,
sound that...
this will be my shot 3 and this will be my shot 4 now. The F9 and F10 keys can also be done with dragging and dropping on the timeline. Say for example, I want to do an insert edit and let's take another shot. Okay, let's take this shot. I mark in and I mark out. I simply have to drag this clip onto the record window. Here, if I leave the clip here on the insert box, this will be an insert edit, which is equal to my F9 command. I leave the clip here and see my clip is now here, placed according to the playhead position. Similarly, if I want an overwrite, I will take this clip and drag it to the overwrite box. Overwrite will replace the clip and eat into my second clip. I do an overwrite and see. Now this clip is a shorter clip now and it has eaten, this shot has eaten into this clip. This is called overwrite. Now the overwrite option has got other functions. Say for example, I have multiple layers. Here I have only video 1 layer. I click on add track. I create another video track which is on track 2. Here this particular tab is my source video tab, which means that if I have this on V1, whatever I do, either F9 or F10, overwrite, insert, will all happen on the layer V1. The same thing happens with audio. Anything I do will come to A1 and A2 since the source tabs are connected to A1 and A2. I can change this to A4 and A3 if I want to, or I can add tracks and assign A2 to A5 and A1 to A3. This is according to my design. Now with the override button, if I want a particular video clip on V2, the layer above V1, I'll get my V1 tab, the source V1 tab, onto the destination V2 tab. I select a portion of the clip, say from here to this point, and I want this above the V1 layer. Say from this position, I press F10 or I drag and drop it on overwrite. If I do it, see, it will not disturb the V1 layer, but it will overlay itself on V2. Similarly, my soundtracks will be assigned to A3 and A5 respectively. Now, if I do not want this later, I can simply drag this down and merge it on V1. Markers are pins that you can place on different positions in your clip. Say for example, I want to locate this particular clip. I press M. M is the shortcut for marker. As soon as I press M, I'll get a marker here. To get into the details of this marker, the shortcut for this is Command Option M. As soon as I do it, this will open my marker tool. Here I can name the marker. Say I name it as my flower shot. If I want a comment here, I can also give a comment. The comment is the shot is usable. Okay, and I can also choose different colors for this marker. This will be a ready reference for you later when you have a lot of brushes. You can go to your green markers, which are good shots. You can go to your red markers, which are not so usable shots. And I click on OK. As soon as I do it, see, this is my marker. And on the screen, I will get the name of the marker and the description of the marker. Now, if I go to the rushes, that is, if I go to the browser, this is my clip, and if I open this, I'll have my markers one after the other. So, at any point of time where I want to find out where my flower shot is, I just go to the bin, I open the markers, and I can see this is my flower shot. If I double click on this, this will open the selection directly. Another essential tool for editing is a subclip. The thing that I did with markers is that I located different portions or different positions on my raw material and I named them. But now, if I really want to make divisions, or I really want to make the clip, which is a 40-minute clip, into shorter clips, I can do it by using subclips. Say for example, I only want this flower shot to be one single shot. I have this here, I mark in, I mark out, and I make a subclip. The command, the shortcut key for subclip is Command U. If you want to go from the menu itself, you mark in and out and click on Modify. And the first thing that you get is Make Subclip. I click on this and immediately I get a subclip on the browser. If I double click on the subclip, I will get only that selection and not the entire rush. The entire rush still has the entire material. When you're doing your edit, you may need other external audio tracks. Say for example, the most common being a music track. You have finished your edit and you need to lay a music track on the edited length. So I click on Import, I click on Import Files, I take a music track which is a WAV file. As soon as I click on a music track, this will come with this particular logo, which means that I only have an audio track. If I double click on this, this will open a waveform, and obviously I do not have image for this. Now I want this track to start from the beginning. So I go to the beginning of this track and I mark in. I play the track and I go to the point till which I want the music to play. I mark out here. Now I want this track on the timeline as track 4 and 5. So I take the source tab, which is A1 and A2, to A4, and A2 is already connected to A5. Now A4 and A5 is clear for my music laying, and I press F10 because I want an overwrite edit. As soon as I press F10, the music track comes here as an additional track. Obviously, this will go on playing the audio tracks that were already there. In this case, I had A1 and A2 as my previous tracks here. Now if I take the playhead and I play the timeline, I will have the image with the sound as well as I'll have the music playing. When you're starting your edit, as in when you're learning the software Final Cut Pro, you may be a little worried about your tracks. So you can lock the tracks. Say you have finished your edit and you do not want to disturb this portion of your track, and you want to do whatever you want to do is on track 4 and 5. In that case, you can lock your video tracks and you can also lock your audio tracks. In certain cases, you may want to mute the music track or mute the other tracks. What you do in that case is you click on these green buttons here. You can see the green buttons here. If it's green, it means they are active. So I click on them and this becomes inactive. Now if I play back the timeline, it will only play back the audio track. That is the audio track which has come from the source files. There are other options in case of muting and enabling audio tracks. There, at the extreme left hand bottom corner, you have a speaker. Click on that and it opens another patch of buttons. Here you have an additional button called a solo button. Say for example, you are working with 10 or 11 layers of audio. In that case, it's not possible for you to mute all the 9 tracks to listen to the 10th track. In that case, the easier method would be to enable the solo button of track 1 so that you only listen to track 1 and the track 2 to track 10 is automatically muted. Transitions are effects between shots. When you simply cut from one shot to the other, it's called a cut. And when you dissolve from one shot to the other, that is, one shot fades out and another shot comes in at the same time. This is called a dissolve. So if you want a dissolve in between, there you have to use transition effects. Now if you go to the browser, here there is a tab called Effects. You go to the Effects tab and you will get a folder called Video Transitions. You open that folder and you will get a lot of transitions here. Under that you will get a folder called Dissolve. If you click on Dissolve, you'll get a filter called Cross Dissolve. This is the simplest form of dissolve. That is, one shot fades out, another shot fades in at the same time. If I want this dissolve between two shots, what I'll do is I'll simply drag and place this filter between these two shots. Let's say I want this dissolve between these two shots. So I place it here and I leave the mouse. Now this transition effect is placed. If I play the shot like this, I'll get a transition which will look like this. So my shot 1 simply dissolves to shot 2. I can also change the duration of this transition filter. I can manually do it. Say I want to increase the duration of this transition. I will just click and drag this to my right. It will increase the transition effect. Now, if I do not want to do it like this, I can also click on the filter, on the transition effect, and click on duration. This is the duration of the transition right now, which is 1 second and 12 frames. Now, if I want to make this into a 2-second transition, so what I'll do is I'll simply type 2 and 00. This becomes 2 and I click on OK. Now automatically this will increase to 2 seconds. Now my transition will happen over a period of 2 seconds. Now let's see how the transition looks. I go to the timeline, I place the playhead here and I play. Strangely, there is a jerk happening somewhere. See, there is a jerk happening. Why is this happening? See, when I'm transiting from one shot to the other, if this is shot 1, say if this is shot 1, I need this amount of length for shot 1 for this dissolve to happen. Similarly, in case of shot 2, this is the amount of length that I need for the dissolve to happen. So, let me remove this transition effect. If I go to shot 1 and I go to the source video, this is the point till which I have the shot on the timeline. But since I'm using a dissolve effect, I'm using the shot till this point maybe. So if I play on, I can see the shot is changing on my source rush. And that is forming a part of my dissolve. And that is why when I have this dissolve in place, at a particular point, my source file is changing and hence I have this dissolve jerk. So when I'm using a dissolve, make sure that my shot is available till the point the transition is over. In that case, you won't get a jerk. This is all for this lecture. In the next lecture, we will see how to use FCP for enhancing your video edit project.